Welcome to the air conditioning service business plan that was prepared by keyladder.com and used in explanation about why you need to create a business plan and what it looks like. It's not a difficult thing to do. We're going to go through this sample plan, which was pulled from the Small Business Administration website, and we made a lot of changes to it, but the format's the same. You can go to the SBA website or wherever you found this sample on either Key Ladder or an article written by Retire Coast and download the Word file, and you can manipulate this and use it for yourself. So this is a basic kind of plan. It's a kind of thing you can take in and show to a banker if you're looking to open a line of credit or raise some capital. But the primary reason for creating a business plan, in my personal opinion, is for you to be able to get in your own mind the structure of the business. What are you doing? What do you want to do? And how are you going to get it done? Who are the competition? So let's go through each of these things. So on the first page here, this is pretty simple. You come up with the name of the business. In this case, it was Air Conditioning Service, LLC, Limited Liability Company. And you have the owner's name on here and the date it was created. This is a simple Word document, so you can go in and make changes to it. Almost all of these start with an executive summary, which means simply, if you want to quickly find out what all of this is about without going through the pages here, the executive summary tells you. For example, it starts with a product. Air Conditioning Service LLC provides services that include sales and repair of air conditioning equipment. It's that simple, really. Now, you may have a more complicated product or service. Try to make it short. Even if it's more complicated, try to, maybe 2 sentences instead of one, and explain what the product is. And the product could be a service also. The customers. The customer, in this case, target customer would be businesses and homeowners. In your case, it might be government, might be industry, it might be just small businesses by themselves. Maybe you're a business-to-business type of structure. And this one lays that out. Future of the company. Where are we going to take the company? And this one says that in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where this example was taking place, it's very dependent on air conditioning here because of the humidity during the summertime, which means that many of these systems run 24/7. So the future of the company is pretty bright because people need air conditioning and heating systems, and they run them far more often than they would run them, for example, on maybe the West Coast, where you have some moderate climates, or in other parts of the country where you might have some more moderate climates, or during at least one season you're not using the air conditioning system as much. So you lay out the future of the company here. You can use as many paragraphs as you want to. Try to be as succinct as possible. Don't ramble on. Don't try to make a big rosy picture. These are primarily facts rather than adding, you're not writing a book is what I'm saying. So on the company description, you have a mission statement. What is your mission? And your mission is to provide quality services to your clients. And those clients can grow. In other words, if it's a business, then that business can prosper because, let's say, for example, that you're doing some air conditioning in a restaurant, and that restaurant must have that air conditioning. If it continues to fail and customers don't come in or leave, that business won't prosper. So you want your companies, your businesses to prosper. Same thing with homeowners. If you come in and do a poor job and you don't fix that unit and it breaks down the following week, that's not good for you. It's a bad reputation. I'm not going to go into all those details, but I think you can understand what I mean by the mission statement just by reading this. Principal members. Many people have more than one person in the LLC or the subchapter S, or possibly even a C corporation. Lay out who those people are, and it's not necessary to give percentages of ownership. Just maybe they have a different title. For example, you might have the owner and you might have someone who is the dispatcher. And then a legal structure, it's in this case a limited liability company in Mississippi, and it's just simply that statement. You don't need to get more complicated. Then we get into market research, and this might sound daunting for you, but as you go through it, I think you'll understand that it really isn't. You've picked an industry that you're working in the air conditioning service. There are many firms in that business, and you might find that whatever business you've chosen, there may be some competition there as well. And just lay that out. There's air conditioning and heating sales and services, or it's a large business in the area. Lots of opportunities, essentially, is what that's saying. Detailed description of the customers. The target customers for the air conditioning service are business owners and homeowners. Now, a business owner could also own apartments, and homeowners could own apartments also. So if you want to add a little more detail in there, you can. In this case, it talks about multifamily buildings, the approximate size of the business. That's always good to put in because it shows that, if, for example, you were starting a business where there's only 10 potential customers and they weren't very big, that doesn't sound like a lot. If you're selling to 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000, or the potential, then that is more impressive. Somebody else is looking at it. Plus, you have to look at it too and say, hey, how big can I get this to be? And you describe your area as well. So what are the company advantages? In this particular case, since this is a very small business, only has one person that's running it, I listed these things such as personal relationships with customers. They don't overcharge for their products. Now, a typical small little business or handyman is going to be more cost effective usually than a bigger company, so that's important. Sometimes, there are no employees. Now, at this point, you use that as an advantage. Later, when you need employees, you have to explain to you properly train them. But initially, when an employee comes out to a house, it's a hit or miss situation. Is that person going to be good? Do they care about their job? Maybe they're going to leave next week, or they've been on the job for a long time and it's very important to them. But it's never more important to an employee than it is to a business owner. And that's why the business owners would have much better due diligence if they want to stay in business. Then there's, in this case, older systems that some companies don't work on. As companies get bigger, they start looking at the idea of, this is too much work, it's too much hassle, too much effort, and they start looking at their business, which every business has to, and they start to get rid of the smaller stuff. For example, the lower volume businesses, to streamline their companies. Well, when they do all of that, that leaves opportunities for others, and that's what we have to look at here with this small business. Now, later on, you revise your 2 years, 3 years down the road, you revise your business plan, and perhaps you're one of those larger companies, and you're starting to go through that same process of saying, this one is too much trouble, too much effort. Then regulations. In this case, that he is a licensed contractor. It's not necessary that he become a licensed contractor for most work at people's homes, for example, but it's always good to have that license because you can't do work at some government agencies or businesses who will require that license. Then the service line is a product or service, and we've listed the products and services, and this could be an extensive list for your business if you do many, many other things. For example, I know of someone that is moving from this air conditioning sole type of business, which is big by itself, into more home maintenance, and not only do the air conditioning but do all kinds of other things too, in which case that list would just probably double or triple. You want to focus on those things that you can do and just list them on there. This is good for your own thinking about what you want to do down the road too. And the pricing structure, this can change. So this is what you put in initially. This is just an estimate. It starts to kind of gel when you get spreadsheets out and you start to forecast what you might be doing. What if I did so many services at so many hours a month, that type of thing, and then you can start forecasting. So this is a good place to start building those numbers and then using them in other documents. The product life cycle, for example, there are some products that have a defined life cycle, and they do. In the case of an air conditioning system, for example, it may be 10 years or 15 years. That's not indicated in here. You can be more specific on the product lifestyle. The problem is with doing work on many types of systems is that every system has a different life cycle. Maybe there's a gas heating system that's separate from an electric heating system, and then you'll be working on people's systems that are already halfway through their life cycle. So do the best you can with this. The intellectual property rights, there isn't much for many businesses that provide services in the sense of you're going to a house to do some work and you're going to charge for parts. But if you are offering something on the internet, for example, something where you're writing documents and you actually have intellectual property rights, something that you've created, which could be even developing a new tool, then you can indicate here how you've protected those intellectual property rights by registering your business, for example. You can trademark, which is simply just indicating trademarked on your documents, and then you might want to do some other work as well with the government on that. And then research and development. There are something you can do. In this case, they're going to do a website with links to social media and develop a newsletter, and probably many other things down the road. Then we're getting into marketing and sales. This is the last page. See, it's only 6 pages, so it's not that long. It's not that difficult to do. The growth strategies. So to grow the company, you want to reach out to previous clients, encourage them, sign up for preventative maintenance program, leverage relationships. You can fill this in, and this is an important thing for you to give some consideration. You may not want to do any growth. For example, I'm aware of an insurance agency, small one, and the owner just really isn't that interested in gaining any new clients. I think he doesn't want to lose any, and if he does and he picks up as many as he's losing, he's fine. He just doesn't want his business to get much larger. And there are people like that. Not everybody says, I want to take my business to the next level and next level and next level. But whatever you want to do with that business, give some thought to it and lay it in here in bullet points, just like you see here. Now, you see, this isn't a book that we're writing here, so there isn't a whole lot of narrative. It's mainly just bullet points all the way through. Communicate with a customer. Air conditioning service will communicate with its customers by meeting with local managers, for example, using Twitter, YouTube. These are all fairly typical today. If you find there are other ways to reach out to your customers, then you can list those on here too. It might be personal visits, for example, to businesses where you every quarter go by or twice a year, knock on the door. You might want to send them Christmas cards. There are many ways to communicate with customers. Try to develop a strategy to do that and be consistent about it. How to sell. So currently the only person, for example, in this is the owner of the business, and they're going to be looking at adding first probably part-time contractors to add with accounting and management and dispatching. And then later on, they'll be adding employees to go out and do service work, and they'll be growing their business that way. So you can lay this out based on what you think you might want to do. And if you don't have a lot of knowledge about this right now because you're just starting your business, that's okay too. Just put some basic information in there. So to summarize what we talked about, we basically have a 6-page document here that's very simple to create. All you have to do is download this. You can download it from the Small Business Administration website if you want to, and you can read a lot more about business plans and their purposes on the Small Business Administration website. They're not trying to sell anything, and there's some really good resources out there. You can read some other blog articles on keyladder.com, also on retirecoast.com, and some other websites out there to try to educate yourself about the basics of starting a business and all the things that you need to do, including grabbing that LLC name and doing some things with accounting. Make sure you're on the right side of the law, paying taxes, for example. There is a real good article that this document is included in, written on retirecoast.com, about small businesses and doing the right thing regarding recording, paying their taxes, paying into Social Security, which is a lot of times doesn't happen with small businesses, and then they suffer later on down the road as a result of not having that 35 years worth of recorded and paid into funds for Social Security. It hurts your retirement. So you want to create a business, do it the right way, and act as if it's a business and it's not just a toy on the side. Fund it properly and keep the accounting separate. Keep your personal life away from your business life. These are just some basic things. And you can read much more on the blog articles on these sites that I mentioned to you.